Okay, and we're live, so that's good. Just muting all my notifications because it just never freaking stops, does it, Angela?
Never,
Uh,
never. I had to exit out of about 12 programs before this.
yeah, so good. Well, this is my first actual time on the computer today, which is lovely. I did my first phone call was an actual traditional phone call. Imagine
On the
that.
telephone?
Yeah,
No
on the
way.
telephone. Yeah, so I was in the garden walking around. It was heaps good. So anyway, let's get into the show. Welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 88, coming up on 100. That's very exciting. I'm very honored today to be joined by Angela Arnold. She's the founder of Arnold Marketing Consultants. She's a coach, she's an author, and she's a big believer in building a community as a great asset for your business. So I want to talk to her about that today, and I'm very, very excited. Straight out of Austin, Texas. Angela, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Now, before we got into the show, you just wanted to ask me what I think of the podcast as a business, for my business.
Yep.
So it's interesting. We actually did an episode with a lady like 3 months ago who ran a podcast agency, and she helps businesses to create a podcast. And her sort of take on it was that there's two options. You can either start a podcast as a business or for your business. This one is very much for my business because we're not coming into trying to make money off it. Um, Transparently, and I've said this before on the show, my podcast started off as a way to cold reach out to people who I wanted to work with and have a reason for them to not ghost me. You know,
Yep.
hey, Angela, I love what you're doing. Would love to have you on my show. I run a marketing agency for coaches. I think you'd be valuable. Start relationships. And now I've got 88 new friends. And and the other one was it helps me to create a lot of content repurposing. We have this 45-minute conversation. You give a lot of knowledge, and then we can make content for you and us out of your knowledge and insights. I don't have to come up with, hours of content every week. So it's been great for me. Why did you ask?
Yeah, I'm curious. My team came to me with a recommendation for starting a podcast this next year. And my challenge to them was why? What do we think it will achieve for the business? So I'm very curious. I've been asking lots of podcast hosts the same question.
Love
What
it.
has it done? What has it really done for you? Or is it one of those vanity projects that goes nowhere with no listeners?
Yeah, oh, yeah. We get way more engagement on the clips than on the actual show. We don't get heaps of listens live. We get more now that we do it at the same time every week, which
Yeah.
is cool. And it depends on the guests and how relevant they are to certain people, obviously. But yeah, for creating content and for networking and for learning for free, I think it's an amazing tool. So I recommend it, but I love doing it.
That's great that you love it. Just
So
great. Yeah.
if you don't like talking, to strangers, then don't do it.
Who doesn't like to learn new stuff though?
100%. Yeah, well, I agree. I think that's the best podcast hosts are the curious ones, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, controversial or not, Joe Rogan is just, he's curious and he talks to a whole range of different people, asks you questions, retains info. I think I love it. That's why we're 88 episodes in, and no, we're booked out to the end of the year. No plans to slow down yet. So I cannot wait for your show.
That's great. Well, I'll have to have you on my show once I launch.
Please do, yeah. Well, let's talk about what you're already doing, right? Your marketing and consulting agency. I was reading your website this morning and doing a little bit of a dive on Angela, and you had this beautiful line where you said, "Has someone ever tried to talk you into TikTok marketing or airplane riding?" Right? Which I thought was hilarious because so many people come to us and our marketing agency saying like they've had someone say there's only one way to market your business. There's only one platform. There's one weird hack where Facebook group doing a podcast or posting 4 times a day on TikTok or indeed doing the person's paid service. Why do you believe that there is no one answer when it comes to marketing a small business online?
It's the age-old adage of you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. If you build your entire house on Facebook's foundation and that foundation materially changes, your house collapses and you have no other option. It is good business sense, both from a sanity perspective and from an insurance perspective, to have multiple different platforms. Now, I do want to caveat that it's so easy to get distracted by the new shiny thing and say, we've got to be here, we've got to do this, and then do it poorly. So, like I referenced earlier when my team brought up we should do a podcast, my reaction is I don't want to do it unless it's right and we can really commit to it. Because where people, and especially coaches, stretch themselves too thin is trying to be everywhere at once or being in only one channel and that's all they have. And if it changes, if the algorithm gets a little tweak, then that's the end and they have to start over somewhere else. And it's really, really painful to do that.
Absolutely. Are you still a fan of building an email list?
Of course. Email still works. It still works. It's a way to continuously talk to your customers without it feeling as intrusive because they've opted in, right? They have the choice to opt out, just like on social media. But email still works for all of our clients.
I 100% agree. We did a video about it recently about why you still need to start an email list in 2023. And I got onto that train too late, to be honest. But we're not too late, but it's not as big as it should be by now. But life goes on. Look at, I mean, how many people have probably just decided that they don't want to be on Twitter anymore and they have a Twitter following and they want to jump ship. And then if they don't have anything else to reach their customer base, what are they going to do? And social media is incredible but volatile, right?
Absolutely. But that's the beautiful part about marketing is it should reflect your customers. Where are your customers? So it may change over time. Maybe they had a mass exodus from Twitter. Go find out where they're at and start building a community there where your customers are. So having that, again, that eggs in one basket that really can keep you entangled in just one channel where you can't follow your customers as they're changing where they're hanging out.
Always changing, right? Yeah, I was delivering a webinar the other night for one of my clients and her kind of container, who are all mostly they're kind of like educators, teachers, like kids, coaches, and I was on there to talk about Facebook ads, and they were like, first question, why not TikTok ads? And I was like, because where's your audience? Sure, you're the kids who you're coaching are on TikTok. Where are their parents? They're probably on Facebook. That's the place to be, so it totally depends on what you're marketing. And I totally agree. Audience is always shifting and that should dictate where you start. What we do in our company is we generally try and prove something works on one platform and then duplicate it across rather than trying to spread ourselves too thin, like you said at the beginning. I think that's really, really important. How about for your own business? What do you find to be your first port of call? What did you do first, and then how and why did you expand to other platforms?
For us, it has absolutely just been email. I tell people all the time, when I send a newsletter, money falls out because my email list is relatively small. It's under 500, but I only add people if I've had a real conversation with them. They've really expressed interest in what they're doing. We have a couple downloadables on our site, but we've never really done a true lead magnet.
Yep.
Or it's even former clients. So something that people tend to forget is even if your relationship ended with someone, doesn't mean it's over forever. You can still continue your actual relationship even if the business relationship isn't still going. And so sending a newsletter just reminds our customers, hey, that's why we're here. I like to try to deliver good, valuable content, things that make people think instead of just waste their time. And every time I get somebody emailing me, oh, I was just thinking about you the other day, or, oh, you needed to go talk to my friend. It's all been word of mouth and referral. Truly, the newsletter has done the most work for us.
That's amazing. So how regularly are you hitting your with emails?
Well, I had a goal to do it every 2 months, and then that wasn't happening because as the business owner, I just dropped the balls.
Yep.
And I finally delegated it to somebody on my team, and now we're consistently sending one a month. I would like to do maybe 2 a month if we have something really key to say, something really important. But even just once a month has been super effective for us. So if people listening think, well, I have a list of emails that I could send to, but I don't really know what to send. I don't think I could send 12 emails a week. Don't. Send one a month and see where that gets you.
That's it, right? How funny is that? How many people, Grant Cardone, for example, are like, hit him twice a day. If you're not in their face all the time, you're going to get lost. And then here comes Angela Arnold, once a month, if that, nailing it. So
Yep.
it's 100%. I also love that you got a small email list. Mine's about the same at the moment, I think, around the 500 and something. But they're qualified customers because what do you think about growing a social media following just for numbers?
I mean, everybody listening should be nodding their heads. Quality over quantity, right? It's all about, if 500 people follow you and 500 people are actual prospective customers, that is way more valuable than 10,000 people who will never convert. Vanity numbers don't mean anything. And the other piece that people always forget, especially when they're first starting out, building their own community, whether that's on social media or another platform. It's so easy to say, I only have 40 followers. I only have 200 people on my email list. You know what? If you walked into a room and there were 40 people there standing, listening to what you had to say, that's a great number. So it's so easy to get caught up with, oh, well, that person has 1 million followers. That person's getting 12 million views. 40 people, if they're really listening to you and they really care about what you have to say, that can be very meaningful.
That's a really lovely way of putting it, Angela. Like people in a room, imagine these people in a room. That's great. Because I think that a lot of my friends have built their coaching business organically, and they put out a post, and one of my business partners, Mel, she puts out a post, 176 likes, 64 comments, that sort of thing. Every time she does it, nails it. And if you put them in a room, that's a really interesting way of looking at it. That gives you perspective on how much impact you're really getting from a smaller audience.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that, building communities. You're a big fan of building communities. A lot of coaches in our audience, are in that startup sort of phase where they've got a passion, they've got a program. Maybe they don't have the offer proven enough yet to run some paid traffic, or they don't have much of an email list. So they go and they run Facebook groups with varying, and that's going to be a big part of their marketing plan. So for yourself, can you please firstly tell us why you believe building a community could be so important, especially for sort of solopreneurs like us, and a couple of steps coaches could do to start building an effective community themselves?
Absolutely. With any business, there's 3 ways to make money. You either get more customers, you sell more to the customers you already have, or you reduce operational expenses, get more efficient. Building a customer community absolutely takes care of the last 2. I don't want people to think about customer community or even social media as a broadcast channel, as a way to get brand new customers. It should be about meeting people where they are and providing real value for their problems. There's a reason they're interested in what you're offering. There's a reason they're raising their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Even on the Facebook groups, there's a reason they were searching that on Facebook in the first place. So if you can provide a valuable, safe, supportive environment for them to honestly talk about their problems, that is so much more powerful than you just broadcasting a message in their face and treating it like a billboard, treating it like a TV ad. It needs to be a conversation and not a one-way channel. So think about, especially when it comes to getting more money from your current customers, how do you know what they want unless they're telling you? You don't know that unless you're having a conversation, right? You can't listen if you're not in the room with them. So building a community is so powerful to really understand your market and really understand what it is they're looking for and what they need. That can help, especially coaches, think of supplemental services to provide other than your core service. It's so important to stop thinking about yourself all the time and start listening to your customer. Ask them questions, have a conversation, let them talk to each other, because that will be the real truth behind what they're getting at versus what they're just telling you what you think you want to hear. You know, if you ask them, hey, what would you guys like? Listen to what they're saying to each other. Listen to what they're complaining about. That's really powerful.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so um, because you're right, and I'm guilty of that 100% in my Facebook group. What do you find the most difficult about Facebook ads? You know, what's the hardest thing about it, or what's your favorite way to communicate with your customers? And you get some poll responses, that sort of thing, but reading the comments that aren't to you, that's really, really clever. Okay, so Facebook groups, email lists, these are communities. I noticed that you kind of mentioned them as part of it. What other ways of building communities have you found to be successful?
Here's a great way to think about it, especially if you're first starting out. Building your own house, building your own community is very hard and very expensive. Go sit in somebody else's house for a while. So, especially if you're a coach and you haven't quite figured out what your offerings need to be or how you can position your offerings, go find someone else's group that is about the problem that you're addressing. Start participating as a participant in this group. Ask them questions and add value. So, one of the most amazing resources that's out there is Reddit. So many people don't think about Reddit as a marketing channel because it's very difficult for a brand to market on Reddit, right? But it is so powerful for understanding your customer and again, how they organically talk to each other and their true problems. So go find where your customer might be on Reddit. Start doing searches. What are the most popular posts? What ones get the most comments? What are they saying that they need, that they have a problem with? And then you can start by adding value. Say, hey, I help people with this all the time. Here's what I do to help solve this problem. You're not necessarily selling yourself, but you're testing, am I adding value? Are they responding back saying, oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you. You solved my problem. That's the way you can do market research for cheap, is to use the number 6 most trafficked website on the planet.
Wow. That is completely a curveball for me. I would think of Reddit as a place for like gamers and people just trolling and stuff, but I actually found it useful recently. I joined up Reddit literally in the last month because I am doing a lot of vegetable gardening now. And so I'm trying to learn how to do it more naturally and help all my plants to, work together and pollinate each other and all that sort of thing. So I'm in like r/permaculture. And it's an awesome thread. And I'm learning so much stuff from people who are posting on there for free. And I think it's such a cool place. So that as a marketing platform, never consider that to be a thing. And Christian, you're listening. Let's get us on Reddit, bro. Let's start doing some digging in Reddit and see what people need.
Go find where people are asking these questions. That's where you can start testing. Is there enough of a there to really make a service for this, right? To help give this solution.
Because I guess a lot of us as business owners, we think we know what people's problems are and we think we know what people want, but it's not always the case. We often build a product and say, let's go and market this. But what we should be doing is finding out what people will buy and then making that.
Listening to them, having the conversation, asking, find Reddit threads where somebody's, discussing this problem and say, what does it mean to you to have this problem? How long have you been struggling with it? How would you tell someone else about this problem? Because they will give you your marketing copy. That's what you take and then you put right on your website, is the things that real people are telling you in these threads.
Love that. Absolutely freaking love that, Angela. That's so cool. I love when a completely new idea comes in. We've often heard a lot of ideas before, right? That is new and really, really cool. So, all right. So let's talk about that further. So we've got people in Reddit and we're hanging out, listening to another community. Then what do you feel is the invitation process to get someone to come and be part of your community? Say, how can we be unique and valuable as opposed to the other 100 group invitations they've got?
Exactly. I think it is demonstrating that you can add value. So the tricky part about Reddit is it's not a drive-by solution. You really have to commit. You have to have a demonstrated history of adding value to these communities. But then at that point, you can approach people that you've had these public conversations with and say, look, I hope I've helped you out. If you would like, you can join my group. I can give you more advice there, or we really dive deep into this topic in my group. But you have to have that established history first. Again, it's got to be a conversation. It can't be, I'm just broadcasting this, because it's not going to work.
Love that. What does your community look like, or one of them? What's your
So
main place?
I love the small business subreddit because, small business owners, it's hard. You're trying to do everything yourself. And as you said, earlier, people get told you've got to do this. This is the magic bullet. This is the only thing you have to do, and then you'll get millions of dollars in sales, and you'll be taller and tanner.
If
Never,
only. Taller,
never
my
really.
word.
I know you can't see. I'm actually 5 foot tall, so not
Are
very
you?
tall.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not this tall. But there's always these promises, right? And they're told you have to do this, or they're even told things like email is dead. Don't worry about email. But that's not true at all. So in the small business community on Reddit, I've responded to quite a few people and said, hey, yeah, I'm a marketing agency, but I'm also a business owner. I'm also wrestling with these things. So to me, giving them advice and value is fulfilling to me personally, but then I've gotten business from it because they will follow up and say, hey, I looked at your post history and saw that you help a lot of people on Reddit. I'd be interested in talking to you about your services. Or sometimes what I'll do is, I did this last year. I posted, I think it was there's a Reddit specifically for businesses, like service businesses. Think of, window washers, people who own house cleaning businesses. And I posted there and I said, I am a master at responding to negative reviews. Send me the negative review that's driving you crazy, and I will tell you how to respond to it. And it was so much fun, and everyone loved it. And of course, people started checking out my profile and seeing, what our business was about.
Love that. Is that something you feel like you could do live right now?
100%. That's my Jedi skill.
Amazing. Okay. We don't really have Google reviews. We because we have 20 customers at a time. We don't kind of have that whole thing. But my friend has a restaurant and really, really good burger shop, right? And he will get something along the lines of he's selling burgers, really good quality meat, cooked by chefs, $18, that sort of thing. And you get the comments, 90% 5-star reviews, but then you get the 1-star, overpriced, greasy, better off going to McDonald's. And then he'll get in and get salty at them. What would you say to that review?
It's so easy to get salty about it. When it's your business, it hurts, because it's your baby. You think you're doing this for a reason. You really believe in it, and then to have somebody not get it stinks. What I tell business owners is every bad review is an opportunity for you to show other people what you're about. You're never going to change that customer's mind. The one who came in and didn't like the burger and wants to go to McDonald's instead, you're not going to win them back. But what you will win over are the customers looking at the reviews who skip to the bad ones because, the good reviews are cool and all, but let's see the truth. That's your opportunity as a business owner to really show why you operate the way you do. So your friend didn't accidentally price his burgers at $18. He didn't accidentally hire chefs. So my response to that, to any overpriced, greasy review is, these are expensive because we're creating a better experience. We are using high quality ingredients with people who are thoughtful about what they are creating. It's not your everyday burger. This is for people who are serious and want a really excellent experience. So we're sorry you didn't like it. That's about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good because a lot of the reviews that will kind of go viral is the one where it's like, well, enjoy your McChicken.
Yep.
asshole, and and then restaurant owner stands up for his restaurant, but then it's not often the best way to do it unless you're like just ridiculously confident.
Unless it's, yes, ridiculous. But otherwise, it's okay for people to say, if this isn't the experience you wanted, that's not what we provide. We're not for everybody.
Yeah,
And saying, that's okay. Thanks for, giving us your feedback, but we're going to focus on doing what we do best.
that's super cool. That's real. That's a lovely, tangible piece of value you can offer people, rather than saying, "Hey, let's hop on a discovery call and talk about your problems. Give me a negative review and I'll respond to it for you." That's sick.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Any coaches listening, it's if you can show the real result of working with you. The issue with coaching, and marketing is so, it gets really nebulous. What's a discovery call? What's a strategy? What's a marketing strategy even mean? If you can show them, here is the result of what you will get, that is so much more powerful. I installed Hotjar on my website so I can see how people use the website. And most marketing companies keep their marketing strategies close to the chest. They will never share that publicly. On my site, I have screenshots. Here's the thing you will be paying for. Here's what it looks like. Here's what you'll get. And I watch people scroll down our page and stop and stare at those deliverables and look at what that actually is going to look like. Because nobody does that. No other marketing firm says, here's the thing you're actually going to get that you're going to pay for. So demonstrate the value in a way that people can really understand, and it's so much more powerful.
Super glad you said that, Angela, because I've got a sales agency starting, next year, helping us to bring on customers. Because I'm just like, I struggle to get to all the phone calls. And he was like giving me a presentation. He's like, I'm going to show people a presentation about your business. Can you talk about your process? And I was like, how vague or specific should I be? And I went specific, and I've got 6 steps over 3 months, the first 3 months, exactly what we'll do. And I wrote that literally yesterday. So I'm really, really glad that you said that, because I thought it might be a bit too in depth for people, but that's super cool.
Get specific. And you know what? Don't be afraid to show prices. I have price ranges on my website, because what's going to happen is either people will say that's too expensive and leave, or they'll say, this seems expensive, but I want to find out more. You don't want to even talk to the people who have no interest in paying those prices. It's a waste of your time.
It'll be a tough relationship, I find. Whenever, when I was a new young coach, health coaching, and, using big emotional selling strategies to get people over the line, even if they were struggling with money, I made the sale, but then it was always a freaking hassle when I did that with someone. And then these days, like I had a guy this morning on the phone, his gym's gone under, and he's like, let me know why I should spend my last, few $1,000s with you. And I was like, you shouldn't.
Nope.
Don't. I don't want you to. Like,
Nope.
So I was like, join my Facebook group, get on my my email list. We'll send you some templates. Use your organic audience and learn to do it. Do not pay us. And so you're just validating everything I do. So this is great. Yeah.
Great. I'll send you my bill later.
Thank you. Yeah, this is mad. If you want some feel goods, just come to Angela. If you're doing the right thing, and she'll let you know. So that's amazing.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get specific. Don't be afraid to. It's hard, especially when you're starting out, to say no. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But you have to, because you're spending your time serving customers who don't have the capacity, mentally, time-wise, money-wise, to do the things they need to do to be successful. There are so many people out there that the ones who do have capacity are there, and they still need your help, and it's okay to help them too.
Yes. Love that. That's super cool. I thought we've all got to go through a few wrong decisions, a few, wrong clients to figure out what's the right ones. That's how my business went from being a kind of broader marketing agency for small business to a coaching marketing agency, because I found out who was, more willing to invest, and coaches generally have a more premium product and they make their money back faster. So marketing's more gratifying for them, rather than like a nail salon, who I love working with, but they struggled when they like spent $1,000 on marketing and got a $69 sale, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
It
they
was
don't
tough
have
to
the
see that
margin.
long-term vision.
Yeah,
So
we're doing the same thing at our agency. We're very generalist, and I just did an analysis on our customers, and only 18% paid us well, and we enjoyed the work or were a really good fit or liked the client. 18%. Not great. Not great. So we're going through the process of how do we niche down? How do we stop saying yes to everybody that walks in the door? Who
yeah,
do we really want to work with and serve and get specific about that?
that's awesome. Do you have
Painful.
a direction you think you might be going in?
We have a few different options that I need to test. One is startups. So we do very well with seed plus to Series A startups, tech startups, because they lack marketing experience. Most startups started by engineers, coders, developers. They don't know anything about marketing.
Yeah.
And so we can
Well,
be
you're in
that
the
marketing
tech
department.
startup hub of the world, aren't you? Like Austin is
Exactly.
like that's where you.
Awesome. It's in my backyard.
Yeah.
So that's been really valuable, and startup life is very difficult. So we've learned a lot of what makes marketing work for startups at different stages. How do you focus on getting your next round of investment? It's not about can you make money. It's what's the next round of investment? What do we need to show to the investors to get that next round? And so helping them stay focused on that. So that's one. Another one is we've had great success in health and wellness products. So maybe an option for us as well.
Cool. Love that. Love that. I often say to my coaching clients who they can help everyone because they're certified in something like NLP that's pretty broad and helpful. When you're in that position and you're like, I can help anyone. The problem is you're then up against Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
who's better, more experience, bigger audience, bigger budget, and probably cheaper programs than you. So yeah, that niche down is super important. I'm sure you know what you're doing, but to reiterate to the audience, that's awesome because then you can speak to their specific problems, right? Like
Exactly.
you said, the coders and developers and the tech startups, they got specific problems. Other than too damp in your basement, too damp in your mum's basement. Can't afford any more grey hoodies.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That's super cool. I'll be really interested to see what direction you go in.
Yeah. I will let you know. It's an interesting journey, but also a good problem to have. We've
Yeah.
had lots of business come in the door. We've learned what works, what doesn't work. And the question too is, I've treated this business is only 3 years old. I've treated this as an experimentation phase. Let me learn as much as possible. Let me also see, can I run a business that makes money and makes people happy? I don't want to have an agency where people are miserable, whether it's my clients or my people. And so far, the answer is yeah, I can do it. So now's the time to say, let's take all of our data and learnings and apply it in a direction and go that direction. So it's an exciting time for us.
That's amazing. How much are you sort of on the tools in your own business? Are you still doing some delivery work yourself?
I luckily am out of the delivery work, knock on wood. It's funny. I really struggled to get out of the business. And it's hard when you're the only salesperson. You said you're hiring a sales company to help you with it. Being part of the sales process, people just want to work with you. They kind of latch onto you and what do you mean you're not going to be here? So to set the expectation that no, it's not going to be me doing all this work from the outset was hard. I just went through some health issues where I had to step away from the business for 7 weeks. And for any business that's under 5 years old, that's pretty significant. But the blessing was I had to remove myself from the business. And you know what? It still ran. My team took care of things. They even got a new client. Things are actually going pretty well. So now I get to be very purposeful about what I add back onto my plate.
Well, congratulations, Angela. That's amazing. Well done. And it's funny that you kind of got forced into that, and then you made it work, and then you've come back after 7 weeks and managed to stay in your position of not jumping back into delivery
Hard,
because
hard though. I'm trying not to. It's hard.
Um, so
Uh-huh.
the 23rd of December till the 9th of January, most of my clients will not be doing heaps of stuff, but they're still running ads. They're still on retainer. So I am stepping away from the business for 2 weeks. And my team is going to take care of everything unless they really need me as a test.
Good.
And I'm going to see, come the 9th of January, can I not jump back into delivery as much? And I think the sales thing is going to be interesting because
Yeah.
you're totally right. When you're a coach and the sales process or in a done for you business, you're talking to the person from the first conversation to the kind of the close, then they're expecting you're going to be on the phone with them all the time. And by removing myself from the sales process, hopefully that'll help me to stop getting the WhatsApp messages and the Facebook messages and the Instagram messages and the email where everyone's just talking to me,
Yep.
because that's not sustainable for me or for them. So let's talk about sustainability actually, because this is something that you've written about in a book, uh, lasting momentum. Your book is called Lasting Momentum. You wrote it a few years ago, but I love the concept of what that book's about. Can you just give us like your elevator pitch for that book? What Lasting Momentum is all about?
I wrote it so that other people don't have to go through all the mistakes I went through in figuring out how to get things done. My problem for a very long time in my life was I did not accomplish anything. I was very stuck. I had no real goals. I didn't know how to be productive. I, you fall into the trap of I'm doing things that I don't really want to be doing, but I'm stuck doing them. Lots of people say, oh, I get stuck scrolling on Instagram for 6 hours instead of spending time with my kids or instead of having a hobby that enriches my mind. How many people listening are reading as much as they really want to versus looking at the internet, right? It's a problem we all have. So I spent many years truly digging in to how can you change your behavior and accomplish goals in a realistic way. Somebody like Tony Robbins is just going to waterboard you and say you have to change your entire life overnight and run 15 miles a day tomorrow and eat only celery. That's not realistic. So what I learned very, very hard how to set and achieve goals in a realistic way, in a sustainable way. That's why the title is Lasting Momentum. It's not just, can I get motivated once? Go to the gym for those first 3 weeks in January. It's how do I work out the rest of my life? How do I adopt these habits for real? And so that was the goal of the book was to give a shortcut to other people so they didn't have to do all the work that I did to figure it out.
Love that. And that's absolutely, I'm so on board with that because, you know, this, well, you mentioned that you like to talk about physical health and mental health for business owners. And I believe that these days, people like Tony Robbins, people like Gary Vaynerchuk will give us these huge expectations of how ambitious and hardworking we need to be. Tony will say, starting tomorrow, yeah, you're right. Running, change your diet, wake up early, freaking read 30 pages of a book every day, journal, meditate, cacao ceremonies, whatever it is, all this stuff. Gary Vee will be like, get home from your job and then spend fucking
Work for another
7
eight
till 2 in
hours.
the morning on Instagram, DMing until your eyes bleed. And it's like this kind of hustle porn, grind all day mentality. I know it didn't work for me. And I think while it might get fast results and then someone can say, yeah, Gary Vee, you changed my life. I made 100 grand this year. It's like, you can't do that next year, man. What if you have kids? What if you get injured like Angela did? Like, what are you going to do? So what are your thoughts on this work all day, grind, and how do you personally take care of, your health, ensuring that your business is complementary to your life instead of taking away from it?
It's so easy to take for granted your health and wellness when you're already in a pretty good spot. So yeah, like you said, people can grind it out and make something happen by pushing really, really hard and neglecting the other areas of their business, but that's not sustainable. They will collapse. Something will give. It is human nature that we have to have balance. And one of the reasons I started my business was I worked at very large corporations where the expectation is I had to be always on. I had to be responding at 9 p.m. to emails and then get up at 6 a.m. and start responding to emails and be in the office all day. And it's just not sustainable and it's not enjoyable. You know, people have to think, yeah, you may be able to do it now, but what about in 5 years? What about in 10 years? What if something happens to one of your parents and you need to go take care of them? If you don't have a balanced life, you can't be there for other people. So something I really encourage is for people to make sure that they are not neglecting their physical body, meaning movement and eating well. Everybody says this, and there's a reason they say it. It's because it actually matters. You know, for me, when I had to have very major surgery, my 7-week recovery time could have easily been a 3-month recovery time if I hadn't taken care of myself beforehand. All the work I put in before paid off in a time when, yeah, I didn't want to be out of my business. I didn't want to do it, but I had to, and I'm here. But all of that work came out later. The other piece is, you know, taking care of your mindset. Getting burnt out is very hard to recover from. And your body will tell you when you're burnt out. You'll know when you're burnt out. And it takes so long to recover versus, can I pump the brakes a little bit and manage my expectations? Again, like I said earlier, Gary Vee may say, oh, 40 followers is crappy. Who cares about that? Well, you know what? That's 40 people sitting in a room listening to what you have to say. So celebrate that. Acknowledge that progress is okay to be incremental. It does not have to be exponential.
Love that. And I love Gary Vee, by the way. I think he's great. I just think that, you know, yeah, the way he came out of the gates was a little bit gave people the wrong expectations on what you have to do to start a business. Really cool how you said that your recovery process was accelerated by the work you did previously, right? It's so much like business. It's like all these slow, boring, not instantly gratifying habits will one day save you, or, you know, be the thing like your comments on Reddit. You know, you don't just make a business out of putting 1,000 comments on Reddit in one day. It's like 4 or 5 a day for a couple years, and then you've got that community there when Facebook tanks or whatever. So, oh no, super cool. I love that metaphor. I love that metaphor.
There's no such thing as an overnight success. There is the 20 years of work you put into it that one day really hit right in the market. But you have to do the work and acknowledge that it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be immediate.
Yeah. I started my first business when I was 22. I'm now 31. And last year was the first year I could like support my family off of business. You know, it took quite a long time to get there. And now my life looks pretty cool and I'm really confident for next year. But far out took a long time. It took a lot of shit to get there.
It takes a while, but the rewards are amazing, right?
Yeah.
You are in control of your future. You can support your family with doing something that you control and that you love doing. And that's so much more meaningful than working at a job and just getting a paycheck for showing up and sitting at a desk. It really matters.
Yeah. I don't want to, you know, negate anyone who does that, you know, because it's just not for everyone. That's not for me, and what we do isn't for them. And that's perfect, because thank goodness that everyone's so different, right?
Yeah, exactly. Totally fine.
Otherwise, if it was all, you know, entrepreneurial people, then the world would be on fire, and then there'd be someone fixing it, and then someone ruin it again. If it was all, you know, job workers, then it'd be there wouldn't be much progress, you know. So thank goodness that we've all got different mindsets and goals and energies. It's really, really great stuff. Speaking of, I love your energy, Angela. I've had such a blast talking to you today. I'm so glad that you're feeling better. Whatever happened, I'm so glad that your business is running the way it is. I'm excited to see what you do in the future. I can't wait to be on your podcast next year. And I mean, the Australia and Austin time zone isn't actually that bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad at all. So when we post all of your links in the clips from this podcast, people in Australia, if they don't want to work with me, then you are absolutely the right person to go to. I can tell. So, no, thank you so much for sharing your really cool, calming energy and insights with us on the podcast today.
Thanks, Alex. It was a super fun conversation. I hope your listeners got a lot out of it.
Absolutely. Well, I did, and hopefully, I'm a temperature gauge for the rest of them. The canary in the mine shaft for how much with the conversation. I've enjoyed it, and yeah, this is one of those ones where I'm waiting like, when's it going to be 45 minutes? It was like, oh, holy
Oh,
mackerel, we're
here
there
we are.
already. I got a call in 10 minutes. So hey, thank you so much once again, Angela from Arnold Marketing Consulting. We've had a blast, and I'll definitely be speaking to you again soon.
Thanks, Alex.
Everyone listening, thank you for doing so. If you're live or on the recording, amazing having you. I'm so grateful that you choose to spend your time with us. And we've got 2 episodes left for the year. Very exciting stuff. So we'll be back next week with another episode of Coaches to the Moon and another amazing guest. Until then, thanks for listening. Much love and